Hey, second graders, it's Mrs. Bierman here. We are going to move on to our next project, also based on Claude Monet's water lily paintings. You will see in your Google Classrooms that I have included a Mrs. Bierman's Bitmoji classroom, and you will find one of those slides has a lot to do with Claude Monet. So I encourage you to click around on there, view some more of his artwork, and take a peek at some information about our awesome artist, Claude Monet. So you're going to be following along with the slides in our Google Classroom, and I'm going to quickly go over the first couple steps. We're going to be creating this water lily bridge, and this isn't quite finished yet. I have not added my actual water lilies down at the bottom, but we're going to create something that looks like that. And before we do that, I would ask you to do a sketch in your sketchbook. So I'm going to move the screen down so you can see my workspace here. In your sketchbook, hopefully you can see this. My paper is a little bit bigger here. In your sketchbook, you're going to just quickly sketch yourself a bridge. So we're creating a rainbow line. So you're going up and then back down. You're really stretching out that curve, and then you're creating one underneath. I would guess you should be able to fit about 4 fingers in between the top and bottom of your bridge. From there, you're going to go ahead and add some vertical lines for posts. I would put, again, about 3, not 4 this time, but 3 fingers in between each post. Just eyeball it if you want to, or you can put your fingers right in there. So I'm ending up with about 5 posts there. After that, we're going to just sketch where you might see some pond grass or those cattails that oftentimes grow in ponds. So I'm just sketching where those might be. I'm also going to sketch an area, just some light lines where I might see the treetops here. And then we all know that down here at the bottom is where the actual pond is. Once you have that easy sketch done, you can go ahead and you can add color with some crayons. So I thought I had everything I needed, but I did forget my oil pastels and the Claude Monet work that I wanted to show you. So I'm going to run and grab those. Just take a peek here and notice the colors that I've used in the bridge and in the pond area right there. So this is Claude Monet's actual painting, well, not his actual painting, but a copy of it, a print of it. And you'll notice a lot of those same things. So we're noticing the bridge near the middle of the paper. We're noticing the pond grass on either side, the tree line up here, and then the water that is here and then goes back. All of the water lily flowers are here. We'll be adding those later. So once you do your sketch, you're ready to move on to your final paper. Now, in the art supplies that I sent home with you, you should have had a nice thick piece of watercolor paper. I would recommend cutting that in half. That would give you a 9 by 12 piece. You can use the whole thing if you want to. You can also use the other white drawing paper, but we're going to be using watercolor paints for the color for this. So if you would like to make sure the colors blend like we're going to do here in class, I do recommend using that watercolor paper. Okay, so do sketch your bridge onto the watercolor paper that you have, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that bridge. So it's hard to see, but I did use 2 pencil lines here. And then you're going to take a crayon. If you have oil pastels at your house, you're welcome to use them. But if you're using crayons, all you need is a regular green, a darker green, a lighter green, and a brown. You're going to take that dark green color and you're going to press nice and hard, whether it's with a crayon or an oil pastel, and you're going to go over your pencil lines. You can go over those posts as well. You should probably be able to fit 5 or 6 of those posts. And notice that I do have a nice thick line. If you're struggling with a thick line, you can go over it again and you can put another green line right next to your first one to make it a little bit thicker. So we want to give it a little bit of body here. We want to give it some thickness. Okay, so I'm doing that with all of those green lines. In class, we talked a little bit about what a highlight might look like and what a shadow might look like. For our highlight, we used a lighter green. You could also use white, but we used light green. What we're going to do is we're going to put the light green on top. Like the sun is shining down onto this bridge. Our highlight is going to be the lighter color. So right on the top, or right next to that curve, I'm putting the lighter green. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom green line, and I'm going right along the top curve. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that light green and I'm going to just choose a side of my posts. It doesn't matter as long as you choose the same side for all of them. So I'm choosing the left side of all of my posts for my light green. And again, I'm pressing nice and hard so that it really stands out. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to use my brown, or you could also use blue. You could also use a gray. You could use a blue-green. I'm going to use brown, and I'm going to use this as my shadow. And my shadow is going to be under. It's going to be under that green line. So it's the shadow. It's where the sun is not hitting. So it's touching my medium green, but it's going underneath the curve. And then the brown is going to be on the opposite side of the post. So this time it's going to be on the right-hand side. Did I say left? It's the opposite side. It doesn't really matter which side it's on. I don't have a post over here at this side, so I'm going to leave it just as is. Okay? Once you're done with that, so you use crayons or oil pastels for that. Once you're done with that, you are ready for your watercolor. If you haven't done so already, I do want you to just give yourself a little pencil line, like where your tree section might be. I'm also going to just sketch in here where the grass may be for the different areas of color. Once I have that ready, I'm going to use watercolors. Now you probably have these watercolors here at home where there's 8 colors. Some of you may have the bigger sets. It doesn't matter what you have. You can use both, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my yellow wet and my green wet. So I'm just taking some water from my water cup and I'm getting the yellow and green wet. If you're using the bigger set of watercolors, you can go ahead and get yellow, yellow-green, green, and blue-green all wet, so they're ready to go. The kids in class, they went ahead and they spent about a minute, I timed them in each section, dabbing with yellow. So I'm taking my paintbrush and I'm following along the curve, and I'm going to spend about a minute making sure my yellow stays wet, dabbing in any white spots of where the grass section might be. I don't need to fill in all of the white spots, but I'm pressing pretty hard with my paintbrush, and I am filling in all of those areas. Okay. Well, not all the areas. It's okay if you leave some white spots. Again, I want to try to get rid of that pencil line, so I'm going right over top of that pencil line and dabbing away. About a minute goes by and you're left with some white spaces there. In those white spaces, we're going to add another color. So Claude Monet was a master of just creating these beautiful images with tons of different colors. So if I look at like the little grass area here, I see white and light green. I see dark green and blue. I see yellow. He's used so many different colors there. And we're trying to get a similar effect by working with wet paint. So now I'm taking one of my greens, and wherever I see a white space, I'm going to use my paintbrush to dab in some green. And you're going to start to see these colors blend really beautifully on your paper. And I'm going to keep going until about a minute has gone by, or until I don't see any white spaces. I don't really need to cover up any of my yellow, although it's okay if you do. it just mixes more. It's also okay if you touch your oil pastels, because the oil pastels will resist or repel the watercolor. You can also take some darker green to add if you have more options. You can also take some blue green if you would like to give it some more values in there, some more colors in there. Once you're done with that, I'm going to just freeze from there. Once you're done with that, now you're ready to do this center area. And this is going to be where our pond area is. Okay, so our pond area, we're going to think about the colors you might see in water. So I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to get turquoise wet and blue wet. Hope that's blue violet. Blue and blue green if you have it. If you're just using the paints from home, green and blue will be perfect for this. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with maybe my turquoise or my blue green, and I'm just going to start dabbing those colors in here. I'm going to wash my brush and I'm going to take another color. So this is, we want it to be different than the grassy areas. We want it to resemble more water instead of grass. So I'm using all of my different blues to fill in this middle section here. And I'm going to keep working until all of my white space is gone. But if you notice where wet is touching wet, it's starting to blend and merge together. It creates these beautiful effects, and they'll still be there when it dries. So I hope you're able to see that as you work. Okay, I'm going to stop there and pretend that I have that filled in. From there, I can move to the sky or I can move to the tree areas. And again, it's up to you which colors you use. For my tree areas, I'm kind of thinking lots of greens. So there's a lot of green in the tree area. I'm going to just do this one up here at the top. I'm just using some green, and then I'm going to incorporate some blue. I would be doing both sides. I'm going to just do this one side for now. So I'm incorporating some blue up there. You can also add some yellow if you're interested. That is completely your prerogative, in your opinion, whatever you'd like to do. See what yellow looks like. Now, if you notice, my yellow paint has now gotten dirty. It's because my water is also dirty and my paintbrush has some green in it too. So if you need to clean out your water, now's the time to do it. Okay. Once I have both of those tree areas done, I have one more section to create here, and that is the sky. And you can think about your sky however you want to. In Claude Monet's painting, it's a lot of dark blues. It's kind of like the trees are kind of overtaking. If you want an all blue sky, if you want to incorporate some pink, you can do that too, or even warm colors. If you're going to choose or change your whole color scheme, you do want some fresh water. I'm going to go ahead and imagine a sunset of sorts. So I'm going to add some pink in here, and my pink is going to come up to the top of my paper. It's going to get a little less once I get to the top, and then I'm going to gradually get back to blue. So with my pink, I'm going to add maybe some purple in there. Notice where I'm painting. I'm painting inside those bridge slats because there's no empty space on this paper. We want to fill it all in. As I move up, I'm going to add purple and blue. It's going to get bluer as it goes up, so it's more of like a sunset feel. And last but not least, I'm going to add some turquoise. Now, if you weren't able to get watercolors, if I did not send watercolors home with you, or else you didn't come pick up supplies and you need watercolors, just reach out to me. I'll be happy to get some watercolors all set for you here at school, and you can pick them up. If you would rather use a different kind of paint, if you have craft paint or tempera paints at home, you are certainly welcome to use whatever paint you would like to. And if you don't like to use paint, you also have the option of doing this all with crayons or all with colored pencils or markers even. The kids here at school are working with watercolor paints like me, so you can use whichever you would like to. But we're finishing this up today in class, and then we have one more step. So I'll just show you here. So your last step is to make sure your painting is dry. So mine is clearly not dry. But once you have a dry bridge, you are now ready to add some water lily flowers. So I'm going to do this pretty quickly because this video is turning out to be longer than I anticipated. So you're going to need some glue and then some sort of paper. I'm using tissue paper because it's really, really easy if I have tissue paper. If you have tissue paper at home, you want to tear it or cut it into small squares. They're about an inch by an inch, 1 by 1, maybe 1.5 by 1.5. It doesn't matter. If you want to cut out water lilies, if you have oil pastels at home, or if you have craft paint at home, excuse me, you can even do the water lilies right on top and paint them right on top. But let me show you a really fun way to do this. So I'm taking my glue bottle, and wherever I want a water lily, I'm just doing a dot of glue. Now, I'm going to tell the kids here at school to do about 10, but you certainly can do more. I'm going to do my dots of glue, and then I'm going to take my tissue paper that I want to use. So I'm using pink. You can use any color you want to. There are tons of different color water lilies. A lot of times when you see them, you'll see them a light pink or a white, but I've seen blue, there's some purple. Even in different parts of the United States, there's orangish and yellowish too. So I take my square of tissue paper, I just wrap it around my pencil, just kind of scrunch it together, and then I'm going to just go and press down on one of my glue dots. I can do it with different colors. You can do it all the same color. Again, I twist it around my pencil, and then I kind of jab it onto that glue dot. So that is just a finishing touch. It gives it a little bit of dimension. It pops out a little bit. It gives it some texture and just a different medium. So we've used watercolors, we've used oil pastels or crayons, and now we're adding like the collage element by adding the tissue paper. If you would rather paint those on, you certainly can. You can take it a step further and you can use a green paint or a green cutout piece of paper, and you can create your own lily pads as well out of green. I'm not really worried about the lily pads right now. I'm going to just create my beautiful flowers here at the bottom. So let me end with just a couple more of these. Have fun doing this. What we're going to do here at school, and you're welcome to do this too, if you want to drop off your artwork when you're done with it. If you would like to, we're going to hang these beautiful pieces up in the hallway, and then I'm going to put their Claude Monet water lily clay projects and on a table in front of them. So we're going to have those all ready to go and look at, and we'll have a display, an Impressionist Claude Monet display in the hallway so that we can have our art up for everyone to enjoy. So when you're done, you'll have these beautiful little water lilies. You can even smush them down a little bit if they're popping up too much for you. When you finish, don't forget that last final step. That is sending me a picture of your finished art. I can't wait to see them. This is I think one of the best and most beautiful projects that we do, and I love hanging them up in the hallway. So you can always drop them off to me if you'd rather hang them up here, or just snap a picture, and I'd be happy to see it that way also. All right, my second graders, have a wonderful day. Enjoy creating, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.